Hi, my name is Catherine Springer, and I did my research on Petronius and his piece, the Satyricon. As a brief introduction, his full name is Gaius Petronius Arbiter, and it is believed that his original name is Titus Petronius Niger. He lived between 27 and 66 AD. He was an author of the Satyricon, which was a literary portrait of Roman society in the 1st century AD. He later served the Roman Emperor Nero as Arbiter Elegantiae, which means judge of excellence or elegance. And it also is technically the director of entertainment. From this high position in Roman society, it is assumed that he was wealthy, that he belonged to a noble family and was therefore, by Roman standards, expected to achieve great things. He eventually fell from the emperor's favor and was ordered to commit suicide in 66 AD. The most complete and authentic account of Petronius's life appears in Tacitus's Annals. Tacitus's account shows that Petronius belonged to a class of pleasure seekers attacked by the Stoic philosopher Seneca. While others gained reputation by effort, Petronius did so by laziness. On the rare occasions, however, when he was appointed official positions, he showed himself to be energetic and accepted public responsibilities. He served as the governor of the Asian province of Bithynia, and later in his career, he held the high office of consul. After his term as consul, Petronius was then received by Nero into his most intimate circle. Petronius lost Nero's respect because of his writings. His writings were full of reckless extravagance that shocked public opinion almost more than the actual crimes of which he was guilty of. Petronius wrote about how Nero treated his slaves. Petronius thought of his imperial patron is indicated by his treatment of the character Trimalchio in the Satyricon. Trimalchio is a composite figure, but there are very detailed correspondences between him and Nero that cannot be accidental, and strongly suggest that Petronius was sneering at the emperor. Tacitus records that the commander of the emperor's guard, Tigellinus, denounced Petronius as having been implicated in a conspiracy of the previous year to assassinate Nero. Petronius, although he was innocent, was arrested and forced to commit suicide. So a little more about Petronius's Satyricon. The Satyricon is an 8-part medley. It is a novel of low life in Roman Italy, centering the narrator Encolpius and his boyfriend Giton. The author seems to celebrate his characters' immoral lifestyle. They're usually poor. The characters are usually poor and often involved in inappropriate sexual adventures. It mixes prose and verse, farce and fantasy, life and philosophy in a delightful and amusing blend to grant us an insight into Rome at the time of Claudius and Nero. The Satyricon would have been read and listened to by the educated imperial circles of the nobility as well as the literate middle class. Many elements within it are seen again in later literature, and its influence can be felt especially in the picaresque works of later times, as well as theatrical farce. So this excerpt is from part 2 of the Satyricon. Petronius writes about Trimalchio's pedophilic behaviors, and just a reminder that Trimalchio is a character based off of Nero. So Trimalchio is this old bald guy who is playing outside with young boys. The child described as the old man's favorite can be understood as his young male sexual partner. So while Trimalchio is playing ball with the young boys, Trimalchio would rather get a new ball than reuse one that has fallen to the ground, and he's like making his slaves count all the balls. Later on in the excerpt, Trimalchio relieves himself into a basin, and after that he wipes his hands on the hair of one of the boys. So all of this happening simultaneous is kind of significant. Trimalchio is pissing away his wealth, literally making his slaves do all this nonsense for his entertainment, and in the meantime he's literally pissing and humiliating his slave boys by using them as towels. From this excerpt, we can really see why Nero had issues with Petronius, because of how it is believed that this character is a depiction of Nero and how he treated his slaves. So before I dive into this excerpt from part 5 of the Satyricon, I just want to disclaim a trigger warning because of its content of sexual assault and rape. This excerpt is a great example of the intense and controversial writings of Petronius. In this passage, one of the main characters is praying to Venus to kiss a young boy, and then the next day after it happened, he prayed for things to escalate with this boy. When I first heard about how Petronius lost Nero's respect because of his writings, and their recklessness and the shock of the public opinion, I imagine sexual encounters amongst consenting adults, not sexually assaulting underage boys. I agree with Nero's disrespect toward Petronius. Even if Petronius didn't mock Nero in other parts of the novel, he definitely deserves to be arrested and removed from society for glorifying sexual assault and pedophilic behaviors. Finally, these are my references, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation.